afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 9th Annual European Film Festival in South Africa. The festival is a celebration of the best in European cinema in this present year. And today we are spotlighting a film that I must say caught my eye just in the trailer, I must be honest. The film is called Olga, and it is directed by Elie. Welcome, Elie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your film with the festival. Yeah, it's such a timely film in so many ways. But before I get into that, I must say, firstly, your repertoire is very, very impressive. In the first few kind of 7-8 years you've been in the film industry, and reading your bio, it reads like you can do every single discipline, from sound to editing to producing to directing. And now with all that you've achieved over just the few years again that you've been in the industry, now your first feature is, Switzerland's official submission to the Oscars. How are you kind of receiving all of that? What has been the reception to the film? How are you handling all of the success that you are kind of thrust into? Yeah, where's your headspace at?
It was a very collective adventure, and to enter the film industry as well as to achieve the movie, I was surrounded by a lot of wonderful people. So first, it's a way to answer to you to say I was not alone, and I had a full crew, so great. There was the DOP, Lucie Bodino, there was the editor, Susanna Pedro, there was my producers, Jean-Marc Frolle, and all of those people, they were present for years in the project. And the co-author, for example, Raphaël Desplechin, who followed me for 3.5 years on the writing. So I can say that it's a collective experience, and that all those prizes and recognitions are also a way to thank them, to say thanks to them, and to recognize that it was not on my own. I was not alone for that one. Really.
That's a very humble answer, Elie, and I appreciate that. I hope that humility will indeed keep paving the way for you going forward. With what you said about the writing, how long has the film been in development? How long did just the writing of the script take? Because it comes at such a timely time in so many different ways. But how long was that process for you to get to the final end of the film?
It was 3.5 years of writing, and it was beginning in 2016. I was just out of cinema school, and I was doing a documentary about an orchestra. And one of the protagonists of this movie was a Ukrainian violinist who told me her story on how she arrived from Ukraine to Switzerland just before the beginning of the revolution, and how the images that she was watching was interfering her life and penetrating her practice of violin. And it touched me a lot, actually. I was already working a lot about music academies, dance academies. And suddenly it was crossing with this political question that I was asking myself, which was, how do you conciliate your own passion, your own desire with the course of history, with the march of the world, And so I decided to work on this precise story of Ukraine, and I had to study it for a lot of time. Actually, from the beginning of the writing to the very end, we were in contact with Ukrainian interlocutors a lot, historians, sociologists, journalists, etc. And of course, I decided to choose a practice that I didn't know at all, to be in the same level of unknowing, and having to learn about the subject. So I chose gymnastics to also be able to articulate from disciplines and subjects that I didn't know.
Elie, you are a very ambitious filmmaker in so many different ways, from just how you've answered that. And now maybe delving into the specifics of the film, I have to ask you about your casting of Anastasia Budeshkina, who plays the lead role. She's very real. She's obviously absolutely a gymnast. However, her performance was also so compelling and so real. All of those shots where she's by herself, I could feel that awkwardness and that aloneness and that detachment and that displacement. How did you find her? What was your process with working with her? Because she really, really carried the film so beautifully.
First of all, I had to recognize that me, I'm not a Ukrainian gymnast. So
Yeah.
the people who were going to play in the movie, they were knowing better this subject of gymnastics and what is it to be in a center far away from your parents, training 30 hours a week, being suddenly projected in arenas and things like this. So I knew that I had to choose real gymnasts rather than professional actresses, because they are professional of gymnastics actually. And so I went to Olympic centers in Switzerland and Ukraine. And there I met Anastasia in Ukraine. She was part of the Ukrainian team at that time. And I remember very well because everybody was turning to us. We were announced that two people were searching gymnasts for a casting. And the only one who didn't care about us at all was Anastasia, who was so concentrated about what she was doing, etc. And she had already this intensity that I found so touching and so powerful, and that I didn't want to control completely. And it was a way, I'm a boy, I'm a white cisgender boy. So actually, one of my questions when I create a movie is about how I can have in front of me people who are disturbing my gaze in the way that my gaze was built and constructed. So it was very important to, in front of me, have someone who was not going to do what I ask, and who was going to say no to everything and do something else. And so the acting direction was somehow a negotiation with Anastasia.
Wow. Okay.
And it went very well in a way, because me, I had to keep the space which were the problematics of each sequences, because we were not shooting in order. So it was very important to keep those problematics.
Yeah.
But inside of that, she had the whole space for her to use her own words in Ukrainian and Russian, to use her emotions, her reactions, her own way to be. It was very important to preserve this, and she's bringing the film so much more far away than what I'm capable to write for her. So and she was so brave to do that.
No, she really was. I mean, watching her perform, so one of the main or big issues that stuck out at me was this issue of displacement. And I felt like she carried that so well. Look, there's so many things going on in the film. There's a lot. It's very, very layered. But this displacement, her reaching for her dream, and she's somewhere else, but still longing for home, and she does not understand what's going on. Like, just so many, just feeling awkward, but just not quite finding her place in the world. But also, she's excellent. Just trying to find where she belongs. Really, that's the theme that stuck out. And for so many people, I think, in so many different parts of the world, and especially the Ukraine, displacement is such a timely theme, and it's just, she really did that so incredibly well. So I was just like, how did you find her? I can see that she's tumbling. No, there isn't somebody else is tumbling on her. I mean, I could see that everything is very, very real. I now want to move on to kind of related to you choosing gymnastics. Now, I know shooting sports films or even like dance, because it's movement, things are happening. Yes, you can stop and say, please, can you do that again? But it's also, you kind of have to catch the action as it happens. You have to, get it there, because also, it's a sport, and it's an art as well. And everyone is in the zone, and you're trying not to disturb that. How did you navigate around that when you were shooting, and especially when you're shooting the scene at the Euro Champions?
Actually,
how did you orchestrate that?
I came very early in the process of writing in the centers, and in Switzerland where we shot actually in the real Olympic center with part of the real Swiss team and the real coach of the team. So it's very really the Swiss team, that we are actually shooting with. And as I met them very early in the process of writing, I had a big confidence with them. It was a way to also know that gymnastics has specificities. It can be dangerous, etc. And so that the shooting had to be really taking in consideration what's the needs of the gymnast. For example, it was more obvious to how to say to do for example 3 or 4 times immediately each takes without to cut the camera, because the body has to stay warm. So it was sometimes more it was sometimes better for the interprets to do it again and again without to cut the camera than to cut and to reinstall, etc. So the shooting of fiction had to be really also completely taken in consideration what's the specificity of sports.
Yeah, it sounds like you needed to blend in a balance of fiction filmmaking, but also documentary filmmaking, really.
Yes.
Because you're right. Yeah, you needed to kind of navigate things a little bit like that. I also have to say, with what you said about the kind of your gaze or male gaze before, Mom and Anastasia, from that scene in the car when the car crash happens, I could see both women are such strong-willed individuals. You could see it. And even though they were communicating far apart, over the phone, just this mother and daughter bond was so real. It was so kind of visceral. How did you? Yeah, what was your intention with that? Because that was so. It's an emotive film. I was like, wow, this is so like. I feel for her. Like I feel like I see her pain.
It was very important for me to feel that they are struggling with each other, but they are also very deeply understanding each other.
Yeah.
Because they are two passionate people. It's just that they are not passionate for the same stuff.
Yeah.
One is passionate about her work as a journalist because she knows how important it is.
Yeah.
And the daughter is passionate about sport, but it's the same kind of passion. It's the same. It's the same energy.
No, they were the same. I was like, they were the same people. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really the daughter of her mother. And it's also what makes them struggle, because they are ready to really go very fast, very high in the discussion. But it was important that to break this idea that as she's leaving Olga a bit alone in Switzerland, she would be a bad mother or something like this, which is something which would have been terrible. And it's a way to show someone who does her best without to think that it's more important the situation of Olga than what she's working for and working about. It was very important for me to show passionate people.
No, they beautifully carried the story. They really did. My last question has to be, I felt like watching the film, it was almost like an ode to, is it the Maidan Revolution, like from that square? Just a use of archive, and also how when things were getting more tense in the Ukraine, just the sound and what you did with the sound, with where Olga is and the visuals. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, about building up that pressure, and even also towards the end, when she just things get really, really just to kind of go from bad to worse, and also her injury and all of that. Can you talk to us briefly about kind of shaping all of that and using the medium?
Yes, actually, I realized that there was a lot of bridges in a sensitive way to build between her presence in Switzerland, which is a fiction film, and those archives. There is not only the movements of the body, there is also sound, as you say. The sound of gymnastics is actually very close to the one you hear in the video. It's full of metal bars of detonation. And in a way, it's like after she sees the first images from Maidan, she cannot come back to the training without to still have in her ears the sound of the revolution going on somewhere else. And those archives, they are at the same time real archives made by the protesters during the event, etc. It's made by many people, actually, the images that you see in the movie. So it's the confrontation of a point of view from reality many points of view from reality, and one very strong point of view, which is Olga in Switzerland. But at the same time, they are the weirdest images of the film. They are not really reality. They are not here to make you feel that you are in the event with the protesters, but how much you're not, how much you're distant from it, because they are full of pixels, they are full of movement. They are the most phantasmatic images of the film. And it shows how much Olga cannot grasp reality from the event. She can only grasp pixelized, weird images out of it, you know. And this is really a condition of today, of the social networks and all of this. But you have the feeling to be at the same time indirect and in distance to what's going on, and it places you in a floating world, in an in-between world, and it's really the condition that I wanted to explore in the movie.
No, completely. I got such a strong sense of that in between, that detachment, and she's looking at these images and you can see her responding to it, and she kind of wants to be there, but she's also so far removed. And one of her friends says that later on, you're in your comfy room, things are very real here where I'm at, but you're in a comfortable place, you know. And I think it's, you're right, it's so timely, and it's a very big theme. That's how the world is right now. Thank you so much, Elie, for your time. That's all we've got time for. If you still haven't watched the film will be available from the 21st to the 23rd of October online on our online platform, and you can watch it at the Labia or the Zone in Rosebank. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your film with us. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of our audience, just with everything that's going on in the world right now. I hope you all enjoy the festival, and do please, just, share your thoughts and maybe tag him on Instagram, let him know your appreciation for the film. I was here with Olga. I felt her pain, and just, that awkward in-betweenness. And oh gosh, don't even get me started about her passports and stuff. Oh, that's a whole other trauma. But thank you so much, Elie. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.